The cold northern waters of the Atlantic are home to a rich diversity of life, above and below the surface. It is a constantly changing environment, always in motion. Yet, despite this shifting landscape, these waters hold mysteries that have endured for millennia. Beneath the surface swim living creatures, still hidden from most of us for much of the time, sometimes revealing themselves only as dark shadows passing by. Drawn to these waters and their mysteries, we are Sarah and Daniel, divers and storytellers, eager to uncover what lies beneath.
Having explored underwater worlds across the globe, we were drawn to this northern region of Europe, where the deep waters still hold untold stories. One creature in particular fascinates us. A creature as large as a bus. Rarely seen, yet people have lived alongside this ancient traveler for generations.
On Achill Island, on Ireland's west coast, we meet Brian McNeil, for whom this animal has played a central role in his life. For Brian, the shark fishery was part of his identity and a way to keep his family together on Achill when work was scarce.
I didn't know anything about the ocean, and I was afraid going swimming even, but now when I got into shark fishing, you forget about safety, you forget about everything, you're just working, you're just trying to kill the shark. You had to hit him in the vertebrae, and he rolled his eyes and his head and he was dead. He'd be killed instantly, but very rarely that happened. So when he was stunned, then we killed him then. They had to be all over 28 feet. The boss was particular about that. He didn't want us to kill small sharks. After we killed the shark, they take the liver out of the shark and take the fins off the shark for shark fin soup. And there was a big boiler, and they rendered the livers down. Achill was a big shark fishery. I started in '71 and I fished sharks up until 1984. The most we killed was 72. The number dropped in '85 and we only got 5. So we never fished them after that again. My reading of it was when they started drifting salmon in 73, 74, 75. Then we saw a drop off in the sharks. So there was maybe 300 boats, all with 2 miles a net, 2 miles plus. That's where they were eating their plankton. It was obvious that they were going to go into the nets, and they did, and they drowned.
We are back at the bay where you hunted the sharks.
Yes.
So what happened here?
The sharks, they would make their way in along this shore.
So they really came close to shore?
They came close all the time. It'd be only 30 yards off the beach. Number 1 net was there in the hole. The spotter was up on the cliff.
What did the spotter do then?
Oh, he just bored up. That was it. Like once we shouted board up, the net was boarded into the curragh.
What happened once the shark got caught in the net?
Well, if we were in on the shore, we always had the curragh at the ready with the spear, and we'd go out and we'd kill the shark, and we'd put a rope through his gills and his mouth and bring him over to the raft, and they took him over to the harbour. Okay,
so what happened the first time you caught a shark?
Oh, the first time I caught a shark, I was very afraid, but I was only holding him. I wasn't killing him, so when we killed the shark, like, it was a relief. Then after that, it was just work. Yeah. We came here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't leave till 6:30 in the evening. 12.5-hour day. What did we look at when there was nothing happening? Tourists.
Oh, okay.
The shark's massive livers, comprising up to 25% of their body weight, were the driving force behind this economy. The oil extracted from them was first used in aviation and later as lamp oil and in cosmetics. Today, Brian genuinely hopes to see the sharks recover and enjoys watching them from the shore. Achill Island's community honors its past while embracing the change that brings the sharks back as part of their natural heritage. But what has become of the sharks since they were last hunted on Achill in 1985? To find out, we turn from history to science. At Trinity College in Dublin, Dr. Nicholas Payne studies the basking shark in today's Ireland.
Basking sharks are an incredible animal. They are the second biggest shark species on the planet. They grow up to 12 or 14 meters long. So for context, they're as long as a bus and actually weigh more than a bus. But they're one of only 3 species out of hundreds and hundreds of shark species that feed on plankton. So they almost behave like whales, but they're an elasmobranch. They're a shark species, which is very, very unusual. We're still trying to learn actually what it is about Ireland specifically that makes them so attractive to basking sharks. There's probably a few reasons. One is that this part of the Atlantic has a very high productivity. So we have upwellings that bring nutrients and therefore lots of food for the animals. One of the great mysteries about basking sharks is discovering where they go. In April, every year in Ireland, we see this emergence of thousands of these animals. They just appear from nowhere. And they stay here for normally 4 or 5 weeks, and then they disappear. What normally happens is several months later, they come back, normally around August, September. There is a phenomenon, and it is effectively a giant sharknado, where in one very specific place in the southwest of Ireland, hundreds and hundreds of these huge animals aggregate in a big group and they swim in circles. Probably it's some kind of courtship, but to be honest, we're really not sure why they exhibit this behavior. But predicting breeding times and breeding places and breeding habitats can be the most important thing to do to protect that species in general. So there's quite an interesting gap in our knowledge about what happens in between the time the animals are here feeding in April, May, to when they come back in August, September. Some of the research that we're doing at Trinity and with my international colleagues is we're putting electronic tags on the animals that use satellite to let us understand the movement patterns of the animals across the Atlantic region. We have a pretty good suspicion that they mostly go north and they spend some time there, probably feeding, but we just need to do more research to learn where these animals go.
Learning more about the basking shark from Nicholas left us even more curious to understand the challenges they face and the efforts to protect them. We meet Alex McInturff and Jenny Bortoluzzi from the Irish Basking Shark Group, a network dedicated to safeguarding basking sharks in Irish waters.
Basking sharks are endangered globally because historically they faced a wide variety of threats, particularly throughout the 20th century. There were culling efforts, there were artisanal fisheries targeting them periodically, there were commercial vessels targeting them, and there's certainly bycatch that's gone unreported. Their fins also catch a really high value in the shark fin market. And because of all of these threats globally, their sightings have really declined in many of their former hotspots. Our work over the last couple of years has really been focused on making sure the basking sharks, when they come to Ireland, can be protected. So to me, and also in my personal career, getting basking sharks listed under the Wildlife Act in 2022 was a huge success. And they are the first fish to be listed under that act. So they are now considered wildlife here and protected as such. So now that we've put out our contributions to advocacy and conservation, our next step is really to start to continue our education campaign. For example, we've developed a code of conduct. It helps people, recreational water users, figure out how to observe the animals from a distance and how to prevent disruptions of their behavior. For example, last year, my team happened to have a camera on a shark, and that shark got hit by a boat. And we did notice that when that happened, that shark dove, it stopped feeding, straight to the bottom, and did not come up for the rest of the time the camera recorded. But what I've also found is that often people do not necessarily know that their behavior is potentially bad for the animals. And so if you are in an area at a time of year when sharks might be present, keeping an eye out is very important, but also reducing your vessel speed. And if sharks are around, shift into neutral, right? They probably will swim up to your boat anyway. The challenges that we face in trying to push something like a code of conduct is that it's very difficult to have the power on the water, not only from a legal perspective, but also in terms of manpower. So at this point, we're just trying to be patient and let the government do what it needs to do. And I hope that this becomes a more timely process, given that basking shark sightings have been in record numbers over the last few years. Basking sharks feed on plankton, right, which closely tracks primary productivity, the base of the food chain. So in places where there are basking sharks, it usually means that ecosystem is pretty healthy. I think a world in which there are plentiful basking sharks that continue to arrive at their former hotspots would be a place in which we could have more confidence in our ability to conserve local ecosystems.
Ireland is really rich in marine biodiversity. It's just full of life. It's a hotspot for many species, and so much of that life is facing threats around the world that it's so special to have it here. But it's also another reason we need to make sure that they're protected and managed properly, because it's worth conserving all of that richness. In recent years, we've been really lucky to see huge aggregations of them. Despite the fact that it's such a good place to see them, you can't plan to see a basking shark, because they might have been there this year in big numbers, but they might be gone next year and we won't see them. And I know that there are people who live on the West Coast where they are seen on a regular basis and they've never seen them. We talk to people all the time who are like, they were there last week, so we came over, and they're gone. They're not there anymore. And the weather in Ireland changes so quickly. It can be flat calm one day or 1 hour, and the next hour or day it's, windy.
We still belong to those who haven't yet seen a basking shark. They are so close and yet so far. Somehow, we are always missing them. Their patterns changing unexpectedly, our luck and the weather has made it impossible to see one yet. As Jenny said, encounters with these elusive giants are unpredictable. And maybe we are just imagining things, but meeting the people involved with basking sharks seems to follow the same pattern. Just as we are grounded on land by strong winds and rough seas, a welcomed opportunity arises. We meet Simon Barrow, founder of the Irish Whale and Dolphin Group, a driving force behind the protection of Ireland's marine wildlife. Simon, could you explain to me what happened to this shark here?
So this shark has got caught in lobster pot ropes, and there's a lot of sharks around at certain times of year. Normally it would sink. This one got washed up. And it used to be very rare to get a shark washed up in Ireland. 10, 11, 12 sharks actually washed up, and most would have had signs of entanglement. Is it big enough that it's actually impacting the population? It's hard to quantify, really. We're trying to encourage fishermen to report these events. It's not easy. I don't blame them. And look, it's into no one's benefit. Fisherman's lost his gear and the shark's lost his life. Maybe we are seeing a recovery in their population. I mean, the latest figure we published was probably less than 10,000 in the Atlantic. It's quite a big sea, the Atlantic. That's not a huge number of sharks. So I think we're actually on a very positive journey on the basking shark, which is good at a time when there are very few positive marine stories. Let's manage our seas for the sharks and for people to see them, and it'll be good for everybody. All this talk about we need more information, need more knowledge, it's letting the managers and the politicians off the hook. We know what to do, we have the data, we have the knowledge, we have the people, let's do it.
Simon's insights from working with basking sharks show that even in a world full of challenges, positive change is possible. The storm has finally passed, though the waters around Inishmore remain unusually murky. Still, we cannot miss the chance to explore the Irish waters ourselves. It's time to dive.
The dives reveal a rich and vibrant world beneath the surface, teeming with life. These mystical landscapes are not only home to countless creatures, but sustain us as well. Is it not obvious why we want to preserve it? We wish it were that simple. Too often, the question is asked and little seems to happen. Yet, experiencing this world gives you back the spirit to act and keeps you asking, again and again, how can we keep this beautiful, essential world alive? And still we wonder what it would be like to encounter a basking shark ourselves.
I absolutely remember the first time I saw a basking shark. It was crazy. I cried, okay? I'm a masculine man, but I was crying. Basking sharks in Ireland are generally considered very, very positively. And it's encouraging to me that in the past few years, the Irish government have started producing legislation that officially protects the species. In addition to that, Ireland is in the process currently of introducing marine protected areas that will partly be associated with protecting basking sharks. One additional challenge that we have with basking sharks, as with most actually mobile marine animals, when they swim long distances, they swim across jurisdictional boundaries. So they might spend 1 month of the year in Ireland, and then 1 month of the year in England, and then 1 month of the year in Canada. This is something about protection of the marine environment in general. I mean, people talk about having static MPAs, it's not effective. Management has to be dynamic, it has to be responsive, and it has to be movable. To me, we're not really at the point of lack of knowledge being the hindrance to conservation. It's the lack of applying the knowledge, and that's the main thing that we need to change. We know what needs to be done, we just need to do it.
Was waren für dich jetzt beeindruckend auf der Reise?
Ich fand vor allen Dingen die Kelpwälder unter Wasser beeindruckend. Ich hätte wirklich niemals gedacht, dass es auch hier im Atlantik so schöne Kelpwälder unter Wasser gibt, wie ich sie eigentlich bisher mit Südafrika verbunden habe. Unglaublich, dass man hier in Irland direkt von der Küste ins Wasser gehen und durch diese Kelpwälder tauchen kann.
Was ich auch immer wieder spannend finde, jetzt haben wir natürlich den Fokus auf den Riesenhai gehabt. Manchmal vergisst man aber, dass wenn man sich so auf ein Thema fokussiert, dass es noch viele andere schöne Dinge außen herum gibt. Wie die Rockpools, wo man dann die Shrimps sieht und kleine Fische, die aus den Spalten herausgucken. Oder auch wieder kleine Garnelen, die über den Stein krabbeln. Und deshalb ist es das Schöne am Meer, dass es immer was zu entdecken gibt. Jetzt geht unsere Reise zu Ende, ohne dass wir den Basking Shark gesehen haben.
Schade.
Ich finde es irgendwie unfair, wenn so ein Tier, das hier schon seit mehreren tausend Jahren
in unseren Weltmeeren lebt, wenn wir seinen Lebensraum einfach zerstören. Nur weil wir denken, wir haben irgendwie ein Recht drauf, alles aus den Meeren rauszuholen, was geht. Und nicht nur der Riesenhai, sondern alle anderen Lebewesen im Meer leiden so stark darunter.
Eigentlich können jetzt genau vor uns Riesenhaie vorbeischwimmen. Und das ist auch tatsächlich eines der schönen Sachen. Dieses Geheimnis, dass so ein großes Tier direkt vor unseren Küsten Europas lebt. Und eigentlich wissen die wenigsten Menschen, dass dieser Hai überhaupt existiert. Das ist wie so eine Beständigkeit in der Welt, die gerade in so einem schnellen Wandel ist und ja uns immer wieder vielleicht auch daran erinnern kann, dass sich die Mühlen auch ohne uns Menschen weiterdrehen.